For this part, we're not going to get too in depth on how to graph tangent and cotangent, but I do want you to know what what the shapes look like for the graph. So first we're going to start with tangent. So it says graph tangent on Desmos. So if I go to Desmos, I plug in y equals tan x, I get this kind of funky looking graph. So if I zoom out, you can see that these little lines, they go on forever. So let me zoom back in. They're also separated, so you could not draw this using or without picking up your pencil. You would have to pick up your pencil. This function is not continuous. And there's actually asymptotes. So if you remember those from rational functions, invisible lines that section off between each of these little squiggles. So it's something to know about the tangent function. It's centered at 0, 0. So typically, if you were to draw one cycle, this is the one you would draw. It goes right through the origin, up on the right, down on the left. And it does repeat on and on forever. So if we go back to graph tangent of x, let's just quickly take a quicker look here. If you zoom in, you'll see that this line goes right about almost to like 1.5. And actually the exact value of it is pi over 2. So on this side, there's a asymptote at pi over 2, and on this side, there's one at negative pi over 2. So that's like our boundaries for one cycle. So if we wanted to graph this, I'm just going to show a representation. It goes up on the right, down on the left, and then we have asymptotes, and this would be at pi over 2 and negative pi over 2. So the period of the tangent function is, since if we go from pi over 2 to negative pi over 2, the period is pi. So, and more specifically, pi over b. So if you had y equals tangent of 2x, your period would be pi over 2, just as an example. At every other pi over 2, there are breaks in the graph, which are known as asymptotes. So this is what splits up our graph. And what differences do you see between the tangent and the graphs for sine and cosine? So you can write anything you want here. I mean, obviously the shape is very different. It is not continuous, whereas sine and cosine are. The shape is not a curve. It goes up on the right, down on the left. It includes asymptotes. So there's many, many things you could write down for that.